Hey, Shalom. All praises go to the Most High, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, double honor unto the elder apostles and great millstone for the teachings of the scriptures, among other things. Shalom to the sincere I came across the world. Now, what's been happening here like 16 hours ago, actually 21, but then, you got other videos that be uploaded like 16 hours ago, 17 hours ago, whatever. I see here one day ago, so on Facebook was that one, so most likely probably on news. It was maybe 2 days ago or something like that. You could say a day. A day or two, right? Now they've been talking about. So the titles are in the Dutch. So I'll put the link in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. And then you gonna need to use a browser translator. Their Google thing, so you can see what it says in the English. But I'm gonna just go over it so that you don't have to. So it says right here, cabinet against farmers, telling them not to protest, because now they're protesting. It's almost an everyday thing here, man. It's almost every week you see them protesting here. I haven't seen them for a few weeks actually, but maybe because either I'm leaving or I'm coming and they're going, or I'm leaving and they're coming. It could be that. But other than that, like a whole year, they've been protesting here, man. Even in the cold, they don't care. Anyway, so they're protesting the government and the Israeli thingy, and the Gaza thing and stuff like that. But also about the government with the more expensive stuff and all that. There, everything is getting expensive. But anyway, let me go to the article. So it talks about that. It says here the cabinet, which is the people that are so-called politicians over here. They're telling the farmers not to go strike. Not to go protest, because what they're doing is it's just kind of stupid to a certain degree, but a few months ago they did it, but then they went to go block the house of one of the other politicians. They sure as hell stopped that shit. They came there with the cops, got rid of their ass right then and there. Like, you ain't going to no politicians, their house, standing in front of their house and protesting. They sure showed them. They got their ass out of there quick, with the quickness. But now what they're doing, which is what they're normally doing, which is going on the highway where everybody has to, do their thing, and then they're blocking the highway. So now you can't go nowhere. So the government is telling them, don't protest. But why are they protesting? That's the whole point. The protesting is because of the food system, because the government is taking their food, which goes back into the book of, so guess what? The Israelites was doing this amongst each other also, right? Okay. But the Most High said that all these curses shall come upon thy enemies and them that persecute thee and hate thee, right? So that's coming upon them right now. But it but we did it amongst ourselves too, especially, for example, Ahab. That's just one example. He wanted the land of Naboth. But anyway, let me read a few scriptures right over here. So it says, where did I put that one actually? Oh yeah, Micah. Well, I'm gonna start here. So it says here, 1 Kings 21. So this is what Esau is doing amongst themselves. 1 Kings 21 and 18. Arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whether he's gone down to possess it. What the king did, was he murdered all of Naboth's children too, not just Naboth, or Naboth, if you want to say it. So it says right here, verse 18. Now it says, so 1 Kings 21, 19. And thou shalt speak. So the Most High told Elijah, go talk to Ahab for that murderous deed that he just did. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, thus saith Yahawah, thou hast murdered, but thou hast killed. It says killed, but it's murdered. Thou hast killed, and also taketh possession. So after the murder you took what was theirs. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, thus saith Yahawah, in the place where the dogs licked the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine. So wait, let me read on. No, now go into 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 26. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth, this is Jehu talking. King Jehu. He was made into the king. 26, so 2 Kings 9:26, right? So it says, surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth. It wasn't yesterday, but he sees it like as if it was yesterday. And the blood of his, let me read it again. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons, saith Yahawah. And I will requite thee in this plat of ground, saith Yahawah. Now therefore, take him and cast him into the plat of ground according to the word of Yahawah. So, who was that again? Jehoram, which is the son, he's also known as Joram, but is the son of Ahab. And why did he get smoked? Because he was benefiting off of it also, and he was making use of it, of the land that he stole from their sons. So from Naboth also to the sons of Naboth. Yeah. So they stole that, and then they stole from their generations also. Jeremiah 49:1 as an example precept to show you that this is the reason why they murdered the sons of Naboth. The house of Ahab did that. So it says here, Jeremiah 49:1, concerning the Ammonites, thus saith Yahawah, had Israel no sons? Had he no heir? Why then doth their king, the king of Ammon, inherit Gad? And his people dwell in his city. So the Most High is asking a question like, hey, you Ammonites, so has Israel no sons no more? Don't they have descendants that will take over the inheritance given unto them by their fathers? Huh? So why do you inherit the land of Gad? As if Gad has no sons, as if there are no other Israelites, tribes, but that land was given unto Gad. But still, the point is that the same thing that the Most High warned the other heathen nations of is the same thing that Ahab did with the Jacob descendants themselves, amongst themselves. He took the land of Naboth, I don't know how you pronounce it, Naboth, and then he murdered his sons also so that they cannot get the heir, for that land, the deed for that land, because they're the descendants of Naboth, right? So all the descendants would come, what the hell did I just say? All the descendants would come up and talking about, hey, you got my father's land, man, give it back. So he murdered them all. Right, so Micah chapter 2 verse 1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. That's what they're doing. So let me read it again. Woe unto them that devise, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields. They covet fields and take them by violence. That's exactly the same thing that Ahab did to another Israelite, man, a fellow Israelite, because he was greedy and he said like, yo, the land that you got is actually close by my castle, so therefore give it to me so that I can take it, and then I don't have to go that far to the other castle to, I want to look out the window and see my garden growing and eat from right over there. I don't want to travel all the way over there. So he didn't want to do that, He was like, nah, man, give me yours. And then Naboth said, nah, man, I got this from my fathers and from their fathers and from their fathers, etc., all the way down past to me. I'm not going to give you their inheritance. So he didn't. And basically, Ahab smoked him for that, unrighteously, with that murderous intention. But that's what Esau's doing right now with his own people. You have many of these lands, right? It's not just the Netherlands, but you have many, but I'm talking about the Netherlands right now, but you have many of these lands where they just smoke the people, man. In this case, it's farmers and stuff like that. You don't really hear them dying over here, but they finding them, they taking their land and all that type of stuff. They put laws on them, like rules that they just pulled out their ass, talking about carbon taxes and the cows that you got. You need to pay taxes on the cows that you got because they are burden on the ecosystem because they eat grass. They eat grass and therefore they are burden on the ecosystem. If they and they care about your health. If they really cared about your health, they would shut down the cigarette system. But that's billions, so they can't do that. They can, but they don't want to. So, It's full of shit. Look, these people are liars. If you didn't know, Esau is a goddamn liar, damned by the Heavenly Father, and he's just doing what he does. That's just what they do. That's just what they do. Anyway, so it says here, verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Ahab did that. But now the curses, oh, and by the way, the reason I'm talking about it is because the Edomites are doing it now to their own. That's the reason I'm putting it up. Because it shows you right here in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 7. Chapter 30, verse 7, it says, and Yahawah thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So these are the type, and they've been doing that. Look, this is not the first time. They already did it in the time of Stalin. Moab been doing it to the other Moabites in the time of Mao. So these heathen nations been doing it to each other because them curses be blessingly coming upon them real tight. But the thing is, we don't really know about it. I didn't know about Stalin until I saw those documentaries. I was like, damn, Stalin is one of my favorite fucking Edomites right about now. Yo, he smoked. He stripped their ass naked. He killed them. And you see videos of that, man. I don't want to talk about it, but if you type in it, it's reenacted. It's reenacted. It's not like the actual footage. You do see glimpses of actual footage and stuff like that, but it's reenacted. You know, you got actors and stuff like that, and then you don't see genitals, of course, but you do see that they're naked. And but yeah, it's called Europa, the Last Hope, something like that. Europa, the Last Battle, if I'm correct. I'll put the link in the discussion box if I remember. Let me write it down. Europa. The Last Battle, something like that. But it's, you know what the thing is, it's like a 12-hour video thing. Why? Because it's like 11 episodes, and every episode is like an hour and a few minutes. You know, sometimes an hour and a few minutes. So yeah, 12 of them collectively, 11 of them, I think, something like that. But collectively, you could estimate like maybe 12 or maybe 11, 12 or 13 hours. I'm not sure. I didn't really count it like that, but I knew of it. Google it, you will see. It's like a 12-hour something. I don't know, something like that. No, I don't know specifically. But yeah, the first part, not only the first part, but in the first part you will see it's like an hour. Then you will see what Stalin was doing to them. You'll be like, damn, yo, that's the real, mustache Hitler guy. That's the real Hitler. You know what I'm saying? That's the real one. That's the original one. he was body. But the point is that he actually took their land and they took stuff over. Why? Because they didn't want the people to be independent and not lean on the government. And now the land is owned by the government. It's actually owned by a particular family. It's not. Look, when I say the word government, when everybody says it, you get a building in your head, you know, with them so-called Roman pillars, but they're not Roman pillars because they're Horite pillars. You know, Seir the Horite and his children the Horites. If you look it up, it says Seir. It says Seir means hairy, and Horites means cave dweller. So, hairy cave dwellers is what the Horites were. And if you go to Genesis 36, you will see that the Horites was there before Esau, and they're the ones that made these giant things because there were giants amongst them. They're Canaanites. Mizraim were giants too, amongst them. But anyway, you had these gigantic buildings and all that there, and then you had a gigantic opening for the building. Who the hell went in there? Them giants did. Same thing with Lebanon, which is where the other Canaanites were. Gabal. The Gibeonites. Gabal in, or Gabal in Psalms 83. And then Gibeonites, something like that. It's in Joshua 13. It's the same people, the same word. And they're also mentioned in another scripture, but there it says stone corridors or something like that, which are the ones that fixed up the stone, the boulders for King Solomon's building of the temple and of his house. The stone quarters, that's actually Gabal. If you look up that Hebrew word, it says Gabal. But the word means something, you know, just like a lot of words mean something, you know, all the names of the 12 tribes, it means something, you know. So instead of that name, then they put the meaning of that name in somewhere in First Kings. But anyways, when King Solomon was building the temple, because he said it. If you look it up, you'll find it, you know. Stone carriers or stone quarters or something like that. Somebody that's good with working the stones. They were good with that. First Kings 5, for example, shows you that they taught the Jacob descendants, the Israelites, they taught them how to build stuff with stone gems, because they were better. No one can work the stones like how the Sidonians work the stones. That shows you that the Tyrians are Sidonians. Fuck yeah, cigarette, man. Damn. Man, I'm happy I don't have to smell that cigarette all the fucking time. I knew the most I was like, man, I shouldn't be around here. You know, boy, continually smelling cigarette and stuff like that. Most I got me the fuck out of there, man. Like I hate that shit, man. I start fucking coughing. It's a miracle. You know, I never smoked cigarettes, by the way. But as soon as I stopped smoking cigarettes, boy, a long time ago. It's not cigarettes, sorry, weed. I started to dislike that shit, and when I smell it, I start coughing. I'm, what the fuck? What happened? Something switched, man. I went from smoking to not being able to be around smoke. That's crazy. I can't be in it, think too much. If I breathe it, I can't. My nose get cloggy. I know there's something in there, man. I don't know, man. Maybe the Most High got me out of that on time. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, going on. So back to where I was, which is First Kings chapter. Oh, I already read that. I'll read it again. So Micah 2:2. It says here, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. That's what they're doing right now, which is just the setup for the famine, because the Most High is going to set that famine up. But he puts everything in place, you know what I'm saying? So all the places that might have been an escape for other Jacob descendants that he doesn't want to relieve, like they get to relieve themselves with the, you know, finding food. For example, you had the book of 2 Kings, I think 8, 6, maybe 6, 7, or 8, or no, not 9. I don't think it's 9. So 6, 7, and 8. You had them, you know, finding. Well, actually in 8. I think it was in 8. But the story, you know, if you read the story, you're going to see it. There was a famine in the land. The Most High brought that famine, and he brought it for 7 years. Well, later on, he brought it for 7 extra years. But yeah, that's another story. But he brought it on, and then by chance, you know, because they just, by fate, it was the Most High, but still, it was the Most High, of course, because he prophesied it, that food would be found the next day. And then, you know, they found it. And them guys that went to go find the food or look for it, they actually was prepared to die. So it was not really like they planned it. Nah, man, they walked and they stumbled upon a whole fleet of food, because the Assyrian Empire, Aram, not Assyrian, sorry. The Syrian, well, Aram, let me say it's Aram. Not Ashur. So Aram Empire from Damascus, they left the food there. But you know, read the story, then you will see. They left the food because they thought, because the Most High made them hear war, you know, because they heard horses, and they thought to themselves, man, them Hittites is coming, and we don't want to fight the Hittites. And then they fled, you know, because they wanted to kill the Israelites. But yeah, the Most High set it up like that anyway. And then they left, and then the Most High, and then the 4 lepers came, and then they found the food. Well, that's by their chance. and it was the Most High also. But but the Most High is going to make it to where the ones that should not find the food, all these places are going to be locked down, and the ones that are able to find the food through the power of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, those are the ones that are going to find it anyway by any means. Most High is going to make sure of it. Either the fish is just going to jump out the water, smack you in the face, talking about eat me, birds. Well, not those birds. they're unclean. But but the Most High can use those birds. Those how you call those birds? Those seagulls. He can use them to go out there, get some fish, and bring it up for you. Or crows, because them crows is very intelligent, so they can go out there and steal food from the Edomites that do have the food, and then clean food. Because if I eat, for example, the dough, the dough that you make bread with, if I eat that, all of a sudden, man, I start sneezing and shit. I'm like, yo, there's something in the food. And I've been knowing it a long time. Because I know I never had no goddamn what they call hay fever. There ain't no goddamn hay. Ain't no hay around here. And second of all, somebody that's standing next to you is not irritated by those same things, those particles. There are particles in the air. They do come in your nose. I see it. They come in your nose and they make you sneeze and and then they mess you up and stuff like that. It's actually in your nose. That's where you're being attacked. And it's also concerning the food that you eat. Because there's stuff in the food that would make your nose messed up from within. And then it's like a sore wound, right? It makes your nose, the inside of your nose, it makes it red. And therefore, when something comes against it, it tickles it. And then, you get that so-called hay fever and stuff like that. So you got to watch out what you're eating, man. Because they do put it in the food. They do put it in the food. Because if you go to other countries that have the same particles in the air, a lot of people don't have this so-called hay fever. And it's not no goddamn fever. And it's not no hay. It's something. It's within you. Because if you get rid of that thing, those foods, then you will see that you could just walk around like everybody else that is not allergic to that thing. Like I always say, so the Most High, right? This is what I always say. The Most High has different herbs, right? So you have an herb that has maybe 3 attributes to it concerning healing. And then you have another herb that has also 3 attributes to it concerning healing. But those 3 and those 3, one of those 3, both of them, has actually the same effect. Okay, this is my point. Some people, if you give them herb A or herb 1, it doesn't help them. But then you give them herb 2 or B, it does help them. So everybody is different, man. This person might eat McDonald's, might not get fat right away. This person might eat McDonald's, get fat, get all these type of extra stuff with it, because everybody's different, man. That you have to understand that certain herbs don't work with all people. That's why the Most High has different herbs that have the same effect, but they have other things also and stuff like that. But this one might work, but this one might not work. So, and that's the same thing with all these diseases that Esau put. That's why he makes sure that he's trying to make sure that he has all different chemicals within one, all different E numbers, so that they can target the whole large population. The individuals in the population, in the populace. He can target a lot of them at the same time with the maximum amount of chemicals within one product or food or whatever. He does do that. People might think like, oh, there's no the food in Europe is better. It is better, I'll tell you that. But they still have their little thing within it. Because if you go to America, you probably die. Yeah, because your stomach is not used to that. I know like an American chick that came, where was she again? Well, it wasn't here, it was Italy. No, it was South America. She went over there and then she stayed for like a month or something like that. Everything left. Her bowel diseases left, the bloatedness, the kind of sickness after food, because she did have that. She thought maybe she's on her period or something. I don't know. All the time, I don't know. She was thinking stuff. And then she came, and then she stayed there for 2 months, vacation. Then they went back to America. Boy, everything that she had came back. And she said she wasn't even eating wild stuff. She wasn't even eating crazy stuff. It was just normal things, even less than when she lived, well, she still lives there, but I mean like before they left, right? And yeah, that shows you, man, hey, it's really in the food, man. That thing make you sick. And here you got it too. I helped, Lord willing, I helped them. I helped a few people and stuff like that get off of things. Because I tell them like, hey, don't eat that. Because I know what I'm talking about. I don't eat that shit no more, boy. Lord willing, that's why you don't see me with that shit no more. Because, you know, because them things are in that food. The E numbers all over the place, all in the world, here too. But here they have, compared to America, they got less. Anyway, let me go on. So it says we're here, let me see. Verse 3. So Micah 2 and 3. Therefore, thus saith Yahawah, behold, against this family, it was Jacob back then. But nowadays, look, it's just like John 8 and 44, year of your father the devil. It's actually talking about Jacob. As you can see, let me see, where did I put that? I was talking about, I was reading it yesterday, damn. It was, I think it was, I think it's what this one. No. I think it was, let me see. Okay, so this is 1 Samuel 2 and 12, right? It says, now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They knew not the Most High. So these are the sons of Belial, right? And right, so these are the sons of Belial, right? Basically sons of Satan. And that's what they were called. So you had other one, which is, for example, John 8 and 44, I already said that. It was talking about Jake. And also Lazarus with Luke, Lazarus, Luke 16. Those were talking about, the rich man was talking about the Jacob descendant. But that doesn't mean the extermination of the Jake in the future. It means that he's going to get destroyed in a different way, in a different mannerism side. Like, for example, Luke chapter 12, right? Where it says that the rich man that gathered all the things, but he was not rich toward the Most High, and therefore the Most High said, I'm going to take your life this day. Well, that's the same thing concerning Luke chapter 16, man. You know, with the rich man and the poor man Lazarus, well, it's like that. You know, the rich Jacob descendants, they're going to get destroyed. So Luke chapter 6, verse 24, for example, that says that, woe unto them that are rich, for you have received your consolation. That's for Jacob. Because there is no other side for Esau and the heathen nations. There's no salvation for them. So you can't say like, yeah, but if an Edomite doesn't live rich, then he will be able to make it in the kingdom. Yeah, keep on trying. You might succeed. Give Babylon some palm, you know, or bomb would it be? Give Babylon some bomb, and you might heal Babylon. Hey, you might heal Esau. How about that? You can try. Keep on trying. Never give up. Try and save Esau. What was I talking about? Oh shit. Damn. Oh yeah. John 8:44 and damn. I was okay. John 8:44 and there's another one that is talking about Jacob. Oh, for example, Amos chapter 9, when it speaks about the eyes of the Most High is upon the sinful kingdom. That sinful kingdom was talking about the kingdom of Judah. But now it's talking about Esau. You see what I mean? Same thing with Isaiah chapter 10. Isaiah chapter 10 says the people of the Lord's wrath were the Jacob descendants. But in Romans, it says the people of the Lord, and also Malachi chapter 1. So Romans 9 and Malachi chapter 1. It says the people of the Lord's wrath is Esau. Yeah, but he's the people of the Lord's wrath. But in Amos 9, they were just a people of the Lord's wrath, because the Most High also said the same thing about Ashur. They were the people of the Lord's wrath at that point in time, in the time of Isaiah chapter 10. The punishment that he would give on them. But the original people of the Lord's wrath is talking about Esau. Okay, so now let me go back to where I was, which is, I don't need to, for example, last example, you have the book of Revelation 2 and 9, where it speaks about, I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews, but they're not. Those are Israelites. But then in Revelation 3 and 9, those are Edomites, because it says right there that they will come, and then they, what the hell? I turned the camera by accident. What the hell? It says they will focus. Okay, so let me focus. Sorry. Then it says that in Revelation chapter 3 verse 9, where it says that they shall come before me. I did it again. Sorry about that. Right. And so they will come and bow before thee. Ain't no Jacob descendant is gonna bow to another Jacob descendant. Well, you do have the one in Genesis 49, where it says, all thy brother's sons, thy father's sons actually, shall bow down before thee. It doesn't say bow down, it says bow before thee. You can find that in the Apocrypha, where it speaks about that, and bow your head in the presence of a wise man or a great man. And you bow your head in the presence of a great, there was something. You bow your head in the presence of a great man, or, you know, when you, for example, you had prophets, okay, the prophet Eli, Elisha too. What am I saying? Eli. I mean Elisha and Elijah. That's what I mean. When the men were coming to them, like the woman, the Shunammite woman, she actually did bow to him. But it wasn't a bow as in worship, you're my savior and power. No, it was a bow out of respect. So when it says that all thy father's children shall bow to you, it's talking about that everybody's gonna pay respect to Judah. It's not bowing as in worship, but then Yahawashi is gonna be worship. So, so yeah, but it's not talking about the rest, as in like worship. It's talking about Yahawashi being worshiped, and it's talking about the rest of the Judites being honored. Right. So going on. I hope you got the scriptures that I actually mentioned, all of them, you know. But let me go on. Like I mentioned chapter, I didn't mention specific scripture. But yeah, Lord, when you can find it if you have the time. You can find it for yourself if you have the time. Okay, so let me go to, where is it again? Okay, so Micah, yeah, I already read that. So okay, let me read it again. So it says here, Micah 2 and 3. Therefore, thus saith Yahawah, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. So again, the Jacob descendants used to do it to each other, yeah, and then now it is actually for Esau, just like the scripture, Amos 9 and something. Well, I don't know which verse, but I think 8. Amos 9 and 8 or 7. But it says that the Most High's eyes is upon the sinful. That sinful kingdom is talking about Judah. But now it's talking about Esau. So you know how the scriptures could switch and stuff like that. For example, Isaiah 14 is talking about ancient Babylon. But nowadays it's talking about modern Babylon. All the things in the scriptures that are written happened already before. Nahum chapter 3, for example. That was talking about the Ashur Empire. It already happened. But now the modern day Ashur Empire, because they fit all the prophecies and the things that they're doing, and basically history repeats itself according to the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1. So you can see like, hey, it's similar to the, look, the reason people say history repeats itself is not the same exact people, because the Ashur Empire is not here, but it is here in the spirit, Esau. And the Ashur people are not rising to the top of the world as they did back then. But Esau is doing that. So he is in their place, taking up their space, for example. He's fulfilling their shoes. With their deeds, he's doing it right now and multiplied in evil too, compared to them. So yeah, Nahum 3, it's talking about the Ashur Empire, if you physically read it. But if you spiritually read it through the power of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, then it's talking about America. It's talking about Esau. You know, you can put Europe in there too. It's like baby Babylon. Europe is like baby Babylon or something like that. But the ultimate mother of harlots, you know, mother of all whores, it's America. You know, even their daughters is the like the creation foundation set up harlot system daughter thing. The future mothers of the Edomite race in America, a bunch of OnlyFans bitches. That's Hosea. That's Hosea 7 and 17. And also Hosea 4 and 12 on down. Their mothers and their daughters are turning into a bunch of, hey, throw some money on that. You know, I remember C. Murder saying, if you want to fight, throw $1 at me, you know. Okay, but these women out here, you can throw $1 at them and they pick it up. But it's not even $1 anymore. It's maybe like three euros or $4 or something like that. And then that's what they pick up. They're not picking it up off the ground or the floor in a building on the floor. They're picking it up on their PayPal bank account, or you know, some other bank account that they got. It's fucking OnlyFans, man. You throw $1 at the hoe. You know, that's what they do. So, yeah. Anyway, going on. So, the Most High is turning it upon them because the curses is coming upon Esau right about now. And that's a good thing. So, blessed is he that seeth the fall of his enemy. That's why you see Moab and Ammon, they're crumbling right now. Look, but it's all a setup. Systematically, it's all a setup. But you have to understand, the average Moabite, the average Ammonite, from Korea and South Korea and from Japan, they have no idea what their elites is doing. They have no idea of what type of seat agreements they have with one another. You know, they don't know shit, man. They don't know shit. The government is a different entity compared to the people that they rule over. Yahawashi said, you know that the Gentiles exercise dominion over one another, right? But with you it shall not be so. You know? The highest one of you shall be the servant. That is the truth, because the king serves the people. Don't go walk up to the king talking about, hey nigga, you serve me. Where my food at today, fool? Nah, the king is supposed to provide for the people. You know, he's supposed to either go to war to make sure that his people eat. And we are going to war right now, but not physical. You know, we are fighting the strongholds of Esau within the minds of the Jacob descendants. You are at war. The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 shows you that. There's a time of war, and there's Ecclesiastes 3, I think. There's a time, 3 and 8. There's a time of war, and there's a time of peace. There's a time of love, and there's a time of hate. We are in both times right now. War toward the heathens, and also to the Jacob descendants that are clowning around, and love toward a few selected ones, man. You shouldn't love everybody. And just because they scream Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, doesn't mean shit. They ain't shit, you know. It's all that. But you can say that to me too. I don't, you know, so I'm saying about everybody. Just because they scream Yahawah, Yahawashi, don't mean anything. You know, we shall see. Because like I said, I can name names. For example, Alzar, ISUPK, because they're talking about that. You know, the Most High is. Paul is not a part of the Yahawah, Yahawashi, something like that. They excluded Paul, the apostle, and they excluded somebody else too. I forgot that one. I have a video of it. I don't even watch it all the time, but I downloaded it on purpose because I wanted to remember it. Failed at that. But I do know, Paul, that they exclude him. And I do know that, okay, that's ISUPK. And I do know that the SICARII guys, they're the ones that actually exclude more. I think Luke, Paul, Wu more. A few more, too. So, you know, they say Yahawah, Yahawashi, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. Alright? Anyway. In the end we shall see. We shall see who prolongs unto the end. We shall see. We shall see. Right, going on. So, okay, so the famine thing is being set up by Esau. Yahawah. Most High is doing it. Okay, so now let me go up into some few scriptures because I'm talking. Oh yeah. Mention this too quick. Bill Gates owns 1 out of 4,000 acres of U.S. farmland. Why the tech billionaire loves traditional agriculture investing. He's not investing in traditional agriculture. He's going to make sure that it's only GMO planted upon his lands. And then therefore, you know, because they want to lie talking about he doesn't own the majority of the lands. They want to squeeze their little snake tongue within it by saying in this article, and other articles too, I checked it out. And I'm going to leave the link in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. But in other articles, they say like, no, he's not the one that has the majority of the farmlands in America, but he is the one that is an individual that has a lot of farm. He's the biggest individual, this one-man team owner of the farmland in America. That's fucking what we said. But you know, they come with the snake tongue thing, you know, because we know that he has different companies like Elon Musk. He has different companies where then he buys his own car and then it looks like his car is selling. It's not selling. It's its own fucking company. And you know what the funny thing is? You have these Edomites that are really determined to expose other Edomites. So what are they doing? They're making sure that everybody knows, like, no, man, they playing with this. They're circling the money. There's no demand. They're creating false demand, and then therefore you see the GPU prices, you see the hard drive prices. You see them skyrocketing, man. Last year it was what the lowest that I ever saw. It was like 100 euros or something like that, maybe even lower than that. And now it's like 300 for the same amount of, you know, the hard drive that you could put stuff on. Sorry, it's now like 300 euros or something like that, 400 euros. Some of them are 400, 500, 600. Some of them are 1,000, 1,200. But those are the SSD cards. I like the M2 SSD cards. Talking about the chip is expensive. No, fucker. You're creating the demand. There is no demand of the people like that. You know, you do have individuals that do want to, have, for example, you know, they do want to have, you know, stuff in their computer and stuff like that. You know, they need hardware. They do want hardware, but it's not that big. But they create it, and therefore now the few that want the hardware, yeah, you're gonna have to cough up like 600, 800, 900, even 1,000 euros just for a hard drive, man. Crazy as hell. But that's what they're doing, man. They're setting it up, yeah, because they want to be the owners of everything, and therefore everybody should be a hirer. You're gonna hire stuff. That's what they want. Okay, I talk too much. Okay, so basically, he wants to set up the GMO, but I'll put the link in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. Now it says here, Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 1. No, I started 4. I will also stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, which is Judah and Benjamin, because Jerusalem was Benjamin was in there. If you read the chapter as how it is written, but if you know now, you should know now that it's talking about all the 12 tribes. But if you read the chapter, it's talking about Judah in Hebron and all that there, and Jerusalem, which is Benjamin. Judah was there too, by the way, but yeah, the land belonged to Benjamin. Going on. And I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place, and the name of the Chemarims with the priests. What was that again? I think it was idols. You can look it up if you want to, but if I'm correct, it's idols, Lord willing. Verse 5. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, which are the nowadays they call it, you know, Venus and all that type of shit. Those are the planets that's basically being worshipped. Those are stars, planets, whatever you want to call it. Until this day, they're being worshipped by Esau. You know, Saturn, Freya, which is Friday. Well, Freya is a woman. It's most likely another form of the Queen of Heaven. You know, all these nations have their form of the Queen of Heaven, and all that there going on. And them that worship, and them that worship and that swear by Yahawah, and that swear by Malcolm, which is, if I'm correct, another idol. So what were they doing? For example, I'm just giving you an example, right? You have people of ISUPK that are claiming Yahawah, Yahawashi, but they're excluding the prophets of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. You have people of IUIC that are basically worshiping Caesar Borgia, but they're glorifying. Well, it seems that they're glorifying Yahawah, Yahawashi. They're not. They're actually, you know, they say the word sometimes, the name. To them, it's just a word. They say the name sometimes. To them, it's just a word. They say the names, you know, maybe one time a year or something like that toward their congregation. But other than that, they push forth Caesar Borgia, which is just what I just read. Let me read it again. So, Zephaniah 1 and 5. And them that worship the hosts of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by Yahawah, and that swear by Malcolm. So you can't have two. You can't worship two. You can't say that two. Fucking shit, Joe. Well, once they get to drinking, they get to be very loud. But anyway, so what was I saying again? You can't worship to. You can't sit at two tables of devils and the Most High. You can't eat at two tables. You can't eat at two tables. You can't eat at the table of devils and then the table of Yahawah, Yahawashi. Yeah, but anyway, let me go on. So it says right here, Zephaniah 1 and 6. And them that are turned back from Yahawah, and those that have not sought Yahawah, nor inquired for him. They're not even asking around like, hey, so what's going on? You know? Or when they're asking because, you know, there's troubles in the world, and therefore then they start seeking the Most High. The Most High already gave a few Jacob descendants the scare of their lifetime. That was in the time of the 19-year-old Edomites. And then for 2 years, they got that scare. But now they're back to their normal things. Jacob, I'm talking about. Verse 8. So Zephaniah 1 and 8. No, 1 and 7. So it says, hold thy peace at the presence of Yahawah, the power. So basically, shut your mouth. For the day of Yahawah is at hand. For Yahawah had prepared a sacrifice. You're going to be it. Yahawah. You turned around. Listen to what I had to say. But the Most High said, you're going to be that sacrifice. Like the Most High said, I have prepared me a sacrifice in Basra. You Edomites is going to be it. But the Most High is going to sacrifice Jacob too. The blood of the fat of the lambs, and the fat of the goats. So the Most High is going to sacrifice Jacob too. Let me read it again. So Zephaniah 1 and 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes. Oh, sorry, verse 7. Hold thy peace at the presence of Yahawah, for the day of Yahawah is at hand. For the Lord had prepared a sacrifice, he had bid his guests. And that sacrifice is a sacrifice of food, like in the time of in the chapter of Proverbs 9, and also in the chapter of Matthew chapter 22, where he says, go out there to his maidens, the prophets, the men of the Lord. Go out there and talk to them and bid them to the marriage feast. You know? So that's that sacrifice. So let me read on. So now Zephaniah 1 and 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. So let me read that again. Wait. So it says, damn. And that thing that I'm drinking, it's fucking me up, man. My belly started getting all fucked up. I started to drink the bottom of this thing right here, and I started feeling it like, whoa, what the fuck, man? I need to go to the toilet or some shit like that, man. I put too much fucking, how you call that thing? Moringa, man. Damn. Moringa powder. I put too much, man. Damn. I feel like I need to go to a toilet or some shit like that. Lord willing, I'll keep it in. Damn. I took that last sip, it was fucked up. And I feel it. Damn. I think it was the old batch that I took, because I got 2 pots. One was the old one. I think I fucked up. I really think I fucked up. I should have put the new one. The old one, I lost it. I didn't know where it was. And then I found it. And then I used it today. Goddamn. Shouldn't have done that. I took a scoop of the old one. I should have been at home. Because the how you call that thing? Herbs don't expire. They get weaker. Because it lost its color. It turns now like very light green, but it used to be very dark green. So yeah, but anyway, so it goes on. So let me go on. Zephaniah 1 and 8. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Yahawah's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. Matthew 22, when it says that, hey, what's your wedding garment? Hey, grab this guy and basically, you know, toss him in the fire. So you're gonna have dudes that come with no garment whatsoever. You're gonna have dudes that come dressed with Caesar Borgia, decked out, looking all dainty, like a bunch of real women, you know, looking all dainty and all that there, straight set up to be married to Yahawah, Yahawashi. You know, they got the veil. They're gonna have the veil. You know, their dress is gonna be really clean, white clean dresses. You know, you lift up the dress, you see a lot of fucking sewers and sewer smells and dead bones of dead men. What the hell? You know, but they're just beautiful. But you got strange apparel on. You know, some of them coming up with beautiful things. You think they're of the Lord, they're not. Some of them, they just dress with strange apparel. They dress like Caesar Borgia or whatever, coming up in this truth. You know. Others they got the you know, they got the true apparel of Yahawah, Yahawashi. It don't matter how you look like. It matters to the spirit. That's what I mean. It don't matter what type of clothing you actually have in a physical form. It's spiritual, right? So going on. So they're coming up with strange apparel. So you're gonna have a sacrifice for the wicked Jacob descendants. And then at the same time in that sacrifice, you're gonna have another well, let me read it for you. So this is the sacrifice of Proverbs. I'm not gonna read Matthew 22. Anyway, so Proverbs 9:1. Wisdom had builded her house. She had hewed out her 7 pillars, which is 7 pillars is for stability. She had killed her beasts. She had mingled her wine. She had also furnished her table. She had mingled her, so verse 3. She had sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. So, yeah, I'll do Matthew. So Matthew 22, those maidens are the prophets. So Matthew 22 and 4. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed. That's the sacrifice of the Lord. You know, the supper, the spiritual supper, right? And all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they didn't, because they murdered the prophets. If you read on, you know, verse 7, you know, murderers and stuff like that. Jerusalem down that murder with the prophets. That's mentioned here, without being written like that, but that's mentioned here. And then you have verse 11, so Matthew 12 and 11. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not a wedding garment. which had not on a wedding garment, right? Verse 12, right? Verse 12, and he said unto him, Friend, how comest thou in thither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. So you came over here, you knew it was going to be a wedding, but you didn't even dress. You didn't even dress yourself up. He didn't know what to say. He was dressed, you know, with some worldly clothing, you know, hip hop or something like. You know, as a 50-year-old man, still dressing like you're 20. That's basically what he did. And then he came around the Jacob descendants that was dressed to impress Yahawah. You know, not physical, by the way, spiritual. Doing his works, doing what he said that you need to do. You know, doing his words and his works, both of them. You might fumble the ball from time to time, you know, double dribble. But hey, at least you got the ball in your hand, right? What's up, man? What's up? At least you got the ball in your hand, right? You know? Right? Let me go on. So it says right here. Yeah, it's the same thing with the strange apparel. You know, you're coming around smelling like Buddha. You got the a la cologne, you know, coming around. Yeah, I wish I'd be looking at you like, boy, if you don't get out of here. He called the guards, season. They grab his ass up, toss his ass in the fire. Screams, gnashing of teeth. Anyway, going on. So I think it was in Zephaniah, right? Zephaniah 1 and 9. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. Back in the days, you had servants, right? You know, servants for 6 years, and then the seventh they go out free. And then what they used to do, just like the wise but wicked servant, that saved himself. He was also doing wickedness, man. He was basically gathering up all his master's money and stuff like that. Basically, you had Jacob descendants that was in charge of they was in charge of the finance. I was just thinking about it. You have a lot of these Jacob descendants, right, that are here and now in 2026. Of course, this era, because 2024, you know, 23, 25, all that there. Then you have all these so-called famous Jacob descendants rapping, singing, but whatever. And then they find out that their management team has mismanaged their finances. All of a sudden, money is just gone. And those are Jacob descendants. I thought about it again. Michael Tyson, he said, this was supposed to be my brother, and he's here fucking me over, you know, with the money. And I thought he was my brother and stuff like, see, that's what I mean. He was mismanaging his money into his own pockets, you know, funding himself, funding for his kids. And that shows you that these people ain't afraid. They are not afraid. It don't matter how tough you are. It don't matter how strong you are, yeah, physically and stuff like that. If they think that you're stupid, he's going to try and get that money out of you. It don't matter if he knows that you can hit him with a punch and kill him. It don't matter to people like that, man. They're not afraid of that. But they're above you, man, in their mind. Like, fuck you, man. What do you? I'll call the cops on you. Yes? And I'm not even afraid of that. I'm just gonna take your money. You know, that's what they do, man. They do that. Think about it, Don King, right? He didn't he rob Michael Tyson? What did Mike Tyson do to him physically? He can't. You know, a lot of these record label owners and all that their type of stuff, they be scamming the shit out of their products. You know, and they can't do nothing about it. Who's the real mafia? Not you. Who's the real gangster? Not you. They are. Anyway, going on. So it says right here, verse 10. And it shall come to pass that in that day, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahawah, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, which is the entering in where the king was in Jerusalem, where King David fixed it up, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, and all that bear silver are cut down. No more income, no more money, no more finances, no more stability, because money coming in is stability. That's why Japan is rose up, because Esau pumped billions in them after he bombed the shit out of them. And South Korea too, after they've smoked them, and they actually put money in their system. And Dubai and Qatar, all these places, all of the countries on the planet Earth are actually funding money within that place over there. But they make sure that they're not funding money in Jake. And I don't want your fucking money neither. I want your blood. That's something else. But think about it. You would need another nation to build you up? That makes no fucking sense. That makes no sense. Why would you want that? Why would you want an Edomite to build you up? You a sucker if you want that. That don't make no sense. I would decline. I don't want your shit. I do it by myself. And if I ain't doing it by myself, then fuck it. That's what the Most High want. You know? For example, if you're not built a certain way, well, why are you trying? I ain't gonna shoot up steroids just to get that. Fuck that shit. Most High build you like that, keep it. You fake anyway. Ain't nobody on the planet Earth a normal person, normal man. Ain't no normal man up on the planet Earth is gonna walk to his woman that he likes, talk, and then says, "Hey, you know what look better on you? Fake chests, you know? Silicone stuff in his mouth. Hey, ain't no fucking real person gonna do that." I know there's doofuses. Believe me, they want their women to get the plastic. They're not real people. They're not normal. I'm not talking about that. You know, it's the same thing with a man. You know, if a chick don't like you for how you look, then she don't like you. That's what you should put in your head. That's not your type. Oh, sorry, you're not her type.